Hello, everyone. We have some amazing news to share, wonderful news. Today, I have some incredible news to share with you all that has the potential to drastically alter the financial situation of millions of Americans who are struggling to support their older citizens and people with disabilities. SSI, SSDI, and VA recipients are among the stimulus benefits catered to American seniors by our channel, your reliable source for the most recent information on Social Security and fourth stimulus checks. I hope everyone is doing well. Let's get right into it. You'll want to pay close attention to this one. In a startling development that seems to have happened overnight, the House of Representatives has approved a historic agreement that would give Social Security retirement benefits recipients an additional $2,600 per month. Social Security disability insurance, disability compensation, or just being 65 years of age or older. This would essentially triple the monthly income for many retirees, finally giving them a chance at true financial security and breathing room after years of barely making ends meet on inadequate cost of living adjustment for those relying on disability benefits through SSISD. Yes, you heard correctly, an additional $2,600 on top of their current monthly payments from these programs. To put that into perspective, the average Social Security retirement benefit is currently only about $1,555 per month. I or the witch have a tendency to make increasingly less monthly payments. An extra $2,600 could be an absolute life share in terms of being able to afford basic necessities and achieve a reasonable quality of life. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. There's no way this is actually real and going to happen, right? How on earth could our tragically dysfunctional Congress, so hopelessly gridlocked by partisan bickering, possibly agree to such a massive increase in benefits and financial support? But folks, as unbelievable as it may seem, the details are still emerging, but the framework of this deal does appear to be very real according to all the latest reporting from the major news outlets. Of course, it's still not a done deal yet. By any means, the agreement will have to make it through the Senate, which could prove extremely difficult, given the razor-thin margins and polarized political environment, and even if it clears that hurdle, it would still need to be signed into law by the president. But the fact that the House, which has been a complete circus over the past few years, was able to reach a bipartisan compromise on something this substantive and impactful is frankly shocking, and gives me at least some hope that it could actually happen. So let's dive into what we know so far about the key parameters of this potentially game. Fluctuating rise. If it succeeds in overcoming the last obstacles. First off, based on the outline that has been reported, eligibility is set to be fairly broad. As I mentioned, it would apply to anyone who is 65 years of age or older, regardless of income level, as well as recipients of Social Security retirement benefits, SSD, SSI, and via disability compensation. Notably, the agreement reached in the House does not appear to have any means testing or income restrictions. As for the timing, the increase is scheduled to take effect in October 2024, with recipients receiving the first boosted payment in their accounts that month. That means we're still about a year and a half away from the start date, assuming it is approved. After that, the higher $2,600 monthly payments would continue indefinitely. For many low to moderate income households, however, this additional money would likely either be completely tax-free after deducting deductions and credits, or they would likely owe little to no tax at all. It's important to note that while the increase itself would not be considered taxable income for determining eligibility for other need-based federal assistance programs, it would still be subject to federal income taxes for those recipients whose total income, including the $2, $100 boost, exceeds $25,000 for individuals or $32,000 for married couples filing jointly. Proposals have also been made to offer retroactive lump sum catch-up payments to cover the gap period from the beginning of 2024 to the effective payment date in October of that year. However, considering the significant amount of money that this retroactive piece would add to the overall cost of the legislation, it appears that this retroactive piece is still up for debate. Referring to expenses. Let's address the big issue at hand. How in the world are we going to pay for something like this, given the outrageous amounts of money the government already spends and the rapidly growing $31 trillion national debt? The deal proposes a three-pronged funding approach that is almost certain to cause strong opposition from billionaires and powerful corporate interests. Reversing parts of the recently passed CHIPS Act for semiconductor manufacturing, rescinding unspent COVID emergency relief funds, and eliminating some defense programs deemed non-essential based on risk assessment are just a few examples of the first part's reallocation and diversion of discretionary spending from areas deemed lower priority or excessive. These are undoubtedly painful trade-offs, but the negotiators clearly felt that these measures were more important than safeguarding seniors' financial security and dignity during their retirement years. The second major component is a series of corporate tax increases intended to begin making large corporations pay their fair share once more. These measures could include raising the current 21% flat corporate tax rate or implementing higher tax rates tiers for increasing taxes on the foreign profits of multinational corporations and cracking down on loopholes and deductions that have allowed some major firms to pay ridiculously low effective tax rates in recent decades. Despite being highly profitable, the exact details are still being worked out. But it's clear the intent is to shift more of the tax burden back onto corporations after years of them benefiting from historically low tax rates and liabilities. But arguably the most explosive and controversial component is the proposed new annual wealth tax, targeting America's richest households and billionaire class under the current framework. Households would face an annual 2% tax on net worth above $50 million, with an even higher 3% rate kicking in above $1 billion in net worth. This would be an entirely new form of tax that doesn't currently exist in the U.S. Code, and one that is certain to draw legal challenges from wealthy families and their expensive tax attorneys if it ends up passing into law. So to recap where we are, the House of Representatives has reached a shockingly bipartisan deal that would provide $2,600 per month in additional benefits to seniors and recipients of Social Security SSD and via disability with expansive eligibility and no income limits based on the outline we have so far. It's proposed to take effect in October 2024, funded by a combination of discretionary spending cuts, corporate tax hikes, and a new annual wealth tax targeting those worth over $50 million. Given the extreme polarization and influence of big money interests, the key question at hand is whether this truly revolutionary deal, which has the potential to significantly improve the quality of life and financial security for tens of millions of struggling Americans, can actually make it through the Senate and get signed into law. It would obviously face a brutal uphill battle and fierce opposition from corporatists and the billionaire class who were undoubtedly already mobilizing to try and kill it. But the fact that it's gotten this far and overcome the gridlock in the House does provide at least a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, the rising voices and intense frustrations of working-class voters over stagnant wages and soaring costs of living may have finally become too loud for lawmakers to ignore any longer. As the 2024 elections approach, my advice would be to try not to get your hopes up too high, given how many major pieces of legislation die on the vine in our broken political system these days. However, with the economic situation becoming increasingly dire and untenable for so many, particularly seniors and the disabled community, the political winds do seem to be shifting to where something this bold and substantive may actually be able to get over the finish line against the odds, but we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out over the coming months as the debate rages on. I'll be sure to keep you all updated with any major developments around this issue. For now, though, I just wanted to make you aware of this potentially monumental deal that admittedly still has an incredibly long road ahead of it to actually become a reality. What are your thoughts on this? Is it only a vacuous utopia that will eventually be watered down to insignificance or blocked entirely? Or might this $2,600 monthly boost actually materialize and offer our elderly and disabled citizens real financial relief? That wraps up our video discussing the most recent developments surrounding this historic agreement. I'd really love to hear your opinions, so please share them in the comments box below. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications enabled so you don't miss a beat till I return shortly with additional stuff. Keep it stylish, everyone.